It doubled up. I accidentally checked the loop box when I was playing around with my settings earlier, so it's gonna loop indefinitely, right?
Why would it loop at 30 seconds? Why is that an option on the 30-second countdown?
I know, right? Well,
Just
you have
count down 30
I have
seconds.
the option because I have the more full. I have the essential version of StreamYard. I can add videos and just have them loop.
I
So I
see.
could have gone live 20 minutes ago and had a video playing looping,
Right.
but I didn't do that. Anyway, welcome to the Ammunation, everybody. I don't think there's a lot of people watching just yet, but if you are, thank you for coming and thank you for watching us. How are you tonight, Mr. Twin?
Living the dream, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad, not bad. Things are progressing in my life. They're going forward at a reasonable pace, I guess. So that's all good. We had a couple of white pills this week, which is nice.
Yeah, some fun and based things.
Yes, yes. So as you know by the title of this, the main topic for tonight is the based SCOTUS. You know what? Let me just turn on. There we go. Pumping the numbers. So I have a Roku TV behind me here, and I have it set to YouTube, but not logged in, so it looks like somebody else is watching on our numbers.
And that'll cheat the algorithm, drawing
more. You know what? I'm increasing it by 33%. Thank you very much.
Damn straight.
Anyway, so yeah, if you're watching, great. Thank you for coming. Tonight, it's all about the white pill. It's all about based SCOTUS. So if you haven't been living under a rock last 72 hours, there's been a couple of really powerful decisions coming from the Supreme Court of the United States. First regarding Second Amendment, and then also regarding Roe v. Wade. Let's talk about the Second Amendment one first, because that's the one that affects me the most. Not really, because I'm Canadian. This is one I have more interest in. How's that? Do you know the ramifications or the ins and outs of this particular decision, Mr. Twin?
Actually, no. I was so busy this week and, hearing on the radio basically how guns are evil, and also, oh my God, Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
What's good? Yeah.
Well, it's funny because 48 hours ago, everybody was losing their shit over the SCOTUS decision about firearms. And specifically, it has to do with the issuing of concealed carry permits in the state of New York. So there's a lawsuit brought against the state of New York because their provisions are you have to give a good reason why you need a concealed carry permit in New York. Now, to Canadians, that seems reasonable, right?
Wait, hold on. My good reason is that I live in New York.
There you go, right? With crime the way it is, but yeah. So if you're a celebrity and you know the judge or the guy who issues the permits or whatever, you probably get one. You slip them a couple $100 and you'll get one. But for the average person, maybe you're just maybe you're a private detective and you occasionally get involved with people of a less savory, persuasion, and you need something to defend yourself because they have guns. You're probably not going to get one. Because even though it's the idea is that they are a may issue state. So there's different states, right? There's constitutional carry, which means the Second Amendment of the Constitution is your permit because it's codified into the foundational documents of our country and the Bill of Rights. Your permit is the Bill of Rights, the Second Amendment. You can carry a gun concealed or open or what have you. There's like 19 states or something that have that as their policy. Others have shall issue, which means you go and you apply for a permit, they'll give you a permit. You don't have to provide any reason. You just have to say, I want a permit to conceal carry. They're not going to ask you why. They're not going to do anything as long as you're not a felon. And if you're a felon, you can't have a firearm anyway, legally. So you wouldn't necessarily go to a government office asking for a permit if you're a felon. So they'll issue one. And then there's may issue, which is what places like New York and New Jersey are like, where it's their discretion. It's the state's discretion. Now, Justice Sam Alito, I think Sam Alito, right? Justice Alito is Sam? I think it's Samuel.
Sure.
Anyway, Justice Alito came out and said requiring somebody to provide a reason for why they want a concealed carry permit is in gross violation of the Second Amendment, and it's unlawful for the state to do that. The Second Amendment governs all the states, meaning the state, any given state, can't impede a person's right to bear arms, whether concealed or open. So basically, this decision says no more of this may issue crap. In the case of New York, they now must issue if someone asks for one. Now, I would go one further and saying if you require a permit for a concealed carry or an open carry, that's still an infringement because it means you need permission to bear arms, which is an infringement of the Second Amendment. And you don't have to have permission to bear arms as long as you're not a felon and due process has not determined you unlawful to own a firearm or possess a firearm. Then you should be able to walk around with any firearm that you can legally attain or acquire, I should say. So I don't think the decision goes far enough, but it's one little crack in the dam. Razor Fist and others have said, look, gun control in the United States is dead. The laws that have been passed in the different states over the last few decades have been in favor of 2A rights, not against 2A rights. And it's only holdouts like New York and Los Angeles and some of the far left governed states that are true blue that aren't ever going to change, where they have more restrictive gun laws or any restrictive gun laws for that matter. So that's a good decision, and it's kind of flies in the face of what Justin Trudeau said just a week or so ago. Canadians, we don't have the right to use a firearm to defend ourselves in Canada.
No, yeah, some of you are going to have to die, and that's a sacrifice that Justin Trudeau's government is willing to make.
Yeah, I guess I'll just die then when somebody breaks into my house at 3 a.m. twerking and tweaking, trying to get money for a fix. And he has a knife or he has a crowbar or some shit, and my guns are safely locked away in a 2-inch steel vault. I guess I'll just die, even though I have the means to defend myself and my family less than 10 feet away. As far as the government's concerned, I have to die.
Yep. Yeah. It's you don't have a right to life in this country.
Or at the very least be a victim to this criminal, right? If I say a mean word to him, how do I know he's not going to reach out and smack me with a crowbar? I'm just supposed to back off and say, take whatever you want, man. I'm a victim. Victimize me. Yeah. Oh, you like my wife? Well, go ahead. Have at it, because we're victims here. Anyway. So I'm hoping that this crack in the dike sort of has ripple effects further afield. I think it will be a while before it's realized in Canada. And that comes to Bill C-21, but I'll get into that later because I'm going to give a strong advocacy speech on that. But yeah, so that's the one SCOTUS decision, and I guess you're probably more familiar with the other SCOTUS decision.
Yeah.
Roe v. Wade being Roe Casey, I guess, because there's a second case that has to do with someone named Casey that has been overturned by by the Supreme Court. And in my view, it's a long time coming. It should never have been a federal decision. It should have always been up to the states, and that's what this decision does. It puts it back in the hands of the states. So what are your thoughts on Roe v. Wade being overturned?
Well, I mean, everyone who's
you're a good Catholic boy, so I expect the right answer.
Catholic's not the right word for what I am. No, look. You know how there are people that say cluster of cells and little more than a parasite, yada yada, those kinds of arguments. Because those people exist, I am actually pro-abortion. It needs to be legal. All right, despite the fact that I think it's horrifying, that I believe it is true, it truly is the murder of a child. It needs to be legal because people like that would make life unbearable for those children, and those children are better off dead.
Wow, that's going beyond the field there and going right out. You're in the parking lot with that hit.
those the gods love die unborn. There you go.
Wow. Well, yeah, you know what? Like if you believe in heaven and you know God and justice and all that sort of thing, then you know the children who are aborted, the babies who are aborted,
Straight to heaven.
straight to heaven. You know,
And the parents that
didn't have
aborted them.
one. They're truly innocent. They didn't have a chance to sin.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't even get born. Right. And the nurse. I mean, I don't know. I'm not up on the catechism, but my understanding is, he who is born of man is born with sin, and part of that has been interpreted, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be way off here, because you pass through the female lady parts, and those are sinful and dirty.
No, that's silly.
That's why Caesar was so good, because he was born by cesarean section.
No, that's Caesarion, his son.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
His son was born by cesarean section?
Well, no, his son was born by cutting. They didn't have a word for it. But his name was Caesarion, and so the procedure's named for him. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. There you go. Well, it's still Caesar, though, isn't he? Or was he called something else?
Wait, who?
Julius Caesar's kid would still be also Caesar, no?
No, Caesar's more like a title or a nickname. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's Gaius Julius called Caesar. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Learn something new every day.
Yeah. That's why Octavian ended up taking the mantle of Caesar later.
There we go. We got some comments here from our good friend, Mr. Costin. Mr. Costin states, greetings, wonderful, wonderful seeming and wonderful adjacent people. Thank you, Costin. Welcome. I have now shared this evil stream on Twitter, which is also evil. Yes, Twitter is evil, but it's a fun kind of evil, and it's going to get even better because of Elon Musk. Also, does @IrvingTwin not realize that real men have beards? Yes. I'm growing mine out again.
Much too hot.
Much to the chagrin of my wife. She does not like my beard. But
look, it's a Toronto summer. I'm in a fucking workshop. I can't.
I totally understand, man. I'm not growing a beard, but I got my hair cut yesterday. I got a beard trim, but they didn't trim it close enough. I'm growing out the mustache and the soul patch. I'm going to go with a Frank Zappa look.
Oh, and before we get too far away from the Romans, did you know that in Rome, it was illegal to have a beard? All men by law must be shaven.
So only Greek philosophers could have beards.
Yeah.
That's why they corrupted the youth.
But not within the empire.
Not within the empire. That's interesting. That makes sense, because you look at all the statues and they're all without facial hair.
Lice protection. That was
that makes sense.
Close cropped hair and shaven beards. Yeah.
It's just like in THX 1138. Did you ever see THX 1138?
No, but I know of it.
Everybody in that movie's bald, even the women. And the implication, I believe, is because it was for cleanliness and hygiene. Because it was a very sort of Spartan kind of world where there wasn't a lot of aesthetic beauty. It was basically white rooms everywhere and white hallways and gray, and everybody wore white jumpsuits and had their head shaved. The understanding being hygiene, right? All right. Custon also says, I sympathize. I used to work in a food processing facility, and then it blew up. If you had a beard, you had to wear a beard nut, and it sure got hot. Hey, Costin, do you know if that food processing facility is still around, or did it blow up like the 25 other ones in the last 2 months?
Jesus. But that just reminded me of that show, My Name is Earl.
Yep.
With Jason Lee, where that one episode he's covering for the guy in the fake McDonald's, and the boss makes him do the mustache one. He's got a hairnet over his mustache.
Just over his mustache, yeah. That's funny. I never watched that show, but I do remember it. I remember it was one of these shows that had Jason Lee, right? That's his name?
Yeah.
Jason Lee? He would narrate what was going on.
Yes.
Kind of like Wonder Years kind of thing, yeah.
Great show. I think it's on Prime right now.
Speaking of Prime, have you
Disney
been watching
Plus.
The Boys on Prime?
Yeah, I didn't rerealize the third season was out. I think this might be the best season ever. Also, Jensen Ackles from Supernatural's in it.
Yes, that's great. As Soldier Boy. It has been absolutely fucking off the hook. It has been insane this season. Like the first episode was like, oh my God, I can't believe what I'm watching right now. But anyway, we'll get back to that. So SCOTUS, Roe v. Wade.
I I never finished my joke. Yeah, so
Yes.
all the aborted children
Yeah.
straight to heaven,
Yeah.
and all the aborting parents and abortioneers straight to hell.
Yeah, I think that stands to reason. I mean, here's what ultimately what the decision Roe v. Wade, the overturning Roe v. Wade does. Okay, there's going to be some states where abortion is homicide, and some states where abortion is murder. That's all there is to it. In the states where it's homicide, it's legal. In the states where it's murder, it's not. So it's the ending of a human life. It's not infanticide because it's not yet an infant, but it is human life. Homicide is the ending of a human life, right? Taking a human life. So it's homicide at the end of the day. I am a fan of this particular law. I'll be honest, when I was, or not law, but this decision. When I was younger, I was very liberal. And I was always, yeah, no, women's got a right to choose. But as I have been exposed to other people's points of view, as I have gotten older, I can't see how anybody can justify it morally, in the same way as I can't see how anybody can justify the state calling for the death of somebody via execution as moral. Now, I know there are arguments, it's two different subjects, and I know there are arguments in favor of capital punishment. I just don't agree with it. I think it is intrinsically amoral or immoral simply because you have to concede that at some point innocent people will die at the hands of the state. And because innocent people will die at the hands of the state, it can't be a moral law or a moral mandate.
Oh, I would go one step, I don't know, further or just to the left. Look, if murder is wrong, right? The whole point is one person with a gun or a knife or simply overpowering another person, killing them because they want to,
Right.
is wrong. Well, once we've overpowered that person, locked them in chains, put them in a cage, to kill them now is to do the exact same thing for which we condemned them.
Right. It's premeditated homicide.
It's doesn't make any sense to me.
No. In the height of a situation where someone's life is in danger, and you need to take someone's life to protect life, completely justifiable. That's,
But if you manage to subdue them, and now they are helpless,
right?
No, you can't do that anymore, right?
It's a violation of the non-aggression principle when it comes right down to it. The non-aggression principle, right? You're initiating force against somebody. That's a violation of the non-aggression principle. If you are using force to defend yourself, that is within the permissibility for violence in the non-aggression principle. And I'm roughly speaking, I'm a libertarian, so that's how I view the whole thing. And that's not to say that there aren't some people who deserve to die. Absolutely, there are. I just don't think the state or anybody really should have that power to make the decision who dies and who lives, especially in a situation where, like you said, they are of no threat when they're incarcerated, right?
Yeah, like, I mean, yes, I imagine there are some people that deserve to die. I imagine, also, what's Costin saying here?
Costin says, capital punishment has no place in a civilized, all cap society. I won't condemn it in all situations, but in situations where I'm okay with it, my condemnation is irrelevant. Fair point.
And look, there's this idea that, okay, what about tomorrow, right? That maybe this bad person will start to become better. Maybe they can choose to, maybe they can be taught to, whatever. I believe there's people that know they can't. It will never happen, but also I have to accept the possibility that I may be wrong in my judgment of each person. So it can't be for me to decide.
I am a believer in the idea of redemption, that a person can atone for their misdeeds.
They can try.
They can try, and I think everyone should be given the opportunity to do so. I don't currently think that our prison system and is anything approaching rehabilitation and conducive to that idea. But there are stories of people who do say, I found Jesus, or I found Allah, or I found whoever, and now I'm leading a good life. I'm out on the street and I, volunteer at this soup kitchen, and I'm a good person and I haven't broken the law since, and I give to my community. These are the stories you like to see, right? And these stories undermine the idea that we should kill people. If you kill someone, your life is forfeit. It's the whole adage, an eye for an eye leaves the world blind, kind of thing, right?
Right.
But in the same sense, the overturning of Roe v. Wade also has opened up the opportunity for real positive change in the world. When you think about all of the lives that have been lost to a scalpel or a suction device over the last 50 years, how many potential geniuses were destroyed? How many potential people who could have gone on to invent some piece of technology that, ended diabetes or ended some other terrible disease, or, gave damn near free energy or something along those lines. See, the thing is that people talk about, well, like one of the arguments from the eugenicist arm of the pro-abortion camp is that these kids, these babies who would be born into poverty, they'll have a terrible life anyway, or they'll add to, the cost of the welfare state. They'll add to the cost of society. I'm like, it's a cost I'm willing to pay. The idea that and here's the thing, like, they'll be born into a family without a father, and they're more likely to commit crimes. All that very well might be true, but the fact is, one criminal can impact a handful of people's lives negatively. One genius can impact millions of people's lives
Billions.
exponentially.
Yeah.
Right. So I'd much rather take the chance that we're saving some geniuses' life that are going to improve society than ending those lives. Or we might have a baby who's born into a terrible situation and then becomes a criminal, and then robs a bank or holds up a liquor store and shoots somebody and ends their lives. That's all terrible, but there are opportunities to stop that along the way. Nothing is set in stone. But when you end that life, the story's over. There's no chance at bringing it back. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and look, I'm just going to say it. If you're against this overturning of Roe v. Wade by SCOTUS, you're racist against black people. Like, you must hate black people and want hundreds of thousands of their unborn children to die. I mean, even though black people are only 13% of the American population, they represent almost 50% of all the abortions.
That's due to the fatherless rate in the black community.
I mean, it could be.
I think that plays a factor. I mean, if I'm a mom, if I'm a black woman, and I get pregnant, and the father of my child is nowhere to be found, and I'm young, and I'm have my life is basically over unless I get an abortion, right? So I understand that, right? And that's another thing that boggles the mind. Weibo Jones actually put something out there about how, I guess, conservatives are celebrating the decision, and that kind of leaves a bad taste in her mouth, and she thinks that conservatives need to do more to deal with the problems of all these children being born now into society. And I tweeted a reply and like, oh, you mean like, running those pregnancy help centers where it's predominantly volunteers of a conservative persuasion, and they do things like provide funding and resources and supplies and things that mothers of unplanned pregnancies need. You mean those ones that the other camp is firebombing right now?
Right.
So when I hear people on the left saying you only care about babies when they're in the womb, you don't care about what happens when they come out. Yes, we do, and that's why conservatives are the ones who do the vast majority of volunteering in communities that need that kind of support. So, are you frozen? Did I lose you?
Are we back now?
Oh, I think you might have been frozen, but I kept ranting.
No, I checked the stream. The stream was frozen. So.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, hopefully you folks heard that rant because it was damn good. Costin says, how about life imprisonment for real? So you mean as opposed to in Canada where you can only serve a maximum of 25 years, and you're probably only going to serve about 14 of those 25 years. Yeah, I mean, I understand the idea of life imprisonment. I do think there should be I don't think people should be absolutely denied an opportunity for parole. I think there should always be a method for them to achieve parole.
Yeah.
But that's again up to states. Certain states have life without the possibility of parole for like really horrendous, heinous crimes. But I see your point, Cost, and I'm sympathetic to it.
Oh, sorry. If I can circle back here, because I did make that 1350 joke, because it's not a joke. That's actually pretty close. I think it's more like 40 to 45%.
Still, they're overrepresented in abortion statistics. Yeah.
And if you were to count it, if you're so inclined as to count abortions as deaths, the leading cause of death among Black people in the United States is abortion. More Black people are aborted every year than killed by any other cause. Like,
you know what? I think that's why they marketed menthol cigarettes to the Black community.
Oh, because menthol is spermicide?
Apparently.
Yeah.
Makes them sterile, so they don't have as many babies.
Well, just stop smoking them and you'll be fine, right? But
yeah, I'm a fan of this decision. That's why this is based SCOTUS. And if you read the opinion by Thomas, it's hardcore. And I was saying this to Irving before the stream started. I think this is Clarence Thomas's big middle finger to Joe Biden, because if you're aware of what happened during Clarence Thomas's confirmation back in the day to the Supreme Court, Joe Biden sort of led the charge in trying to besmirch his character and making him to be something he wasn't. And I think Clarence Thomas is just reveling in the fact that on his birthday, he got to overturn Roe v. Wade under President Biden's administration term. That probably puts a big fucking grin on his face.
It's his birthday gift to himself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, we've got more people watching now. It says there's 4. There was 5 for a moment. I don't know what happened, but if you're watching and you're in the chat, please make yourself known. We can't just have Costin doing the chat all the time. So, but that being said, Costin, appreciate all the interaction.
And thank you for not just spending your time shitting on me tonight. That's very pleasant change.
Yeah, I think you've only called one thing evil, and that was Twitter. So that's great. He's about to call us evil now. Have you seen? I was talking about this as well. Have you seen what Dankula's done?
Oh yes, but please share it again. It's fucking magical.
Oh God, let me see if I can find it. I think I shared it, right?
Yeah, it's on your Twitter.
All right. It's on my Facebook Messenger too. That's why I shared it with you.
Because Dankula really is the master troll. Like, remember, he entered the game with Nazi Pug, right?
Yes,
like that's how he presented himself
to
the world.
So, if you're not aware and you're not on Twitter, Count Dankula, Mark Meacham, guy who did the Nazi Pug video and got sent to jail and then ultimately fined by the British government, the UK government, Scottish government, whatever. He at the decision today changed his profile picture to him in Justice's robes and changed his name to Justice Dankula. And so people stupidly thought that he must be a member of the Supreme Court and started hate mailing him. And so somebody took one of his tweets and turned it into a quote. Let's see if I can get it here. Hopefully it hasn't been removed. All right, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Share screen. Chrome tab. If y'all don't pipe down, I'll make women illegal. Actually, that's not him, though. He just took a picture that kind of looks like him.
Yeah. No, I didn't even realize it first.
You only see his profile pic as a little thumbnail, right? You don't see it, but that looks like him. It looks like, wow, yeah. That's funny. Justice Dankula, Count Dankula TV. That's some funny shit.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. You know what? I haven't watched a lot of his. You like my background there for the Ammunation?
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't watched a lot of his Absolute Mad Lads videos lately, but I should because I like his Absolute Mad Lads stuff.
Okay, so he did a short series of mini Mad Lads where he was talking about animals in combat. Do you remember this?
Yes, the fucking bear that got adopted by the Force, and
yes,
And the dog and the
but
pigeon that fucking survived like 3 fucking
pigeon.
flights through
But
battlefields.
Rags the war dog.
Oh my god.
So my mom and sister obviously like love animals, and they watch all the fucking dog trainer shows. And I was like, look, you want to know about a dog? You got to watch this.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was so excited. She thought this guy, this tattooed, bearded, pierced, crazy fuck, was going to have like 100 videos about animals. And she loved his voice and his presentation so much that she went scrolling through his videos trying to watch more. And she's like, "Where's the end?" It was like, "Ma, it was a short thing. Like, there's just
you only did a handful, yeah,
right." But she really wanted him to do more. Like, he doesn't know what kind of audience he can tap. Like,
oh yeah. You know what's funny though? Like, he got verified on Twitter like very, very shortly after that Nazi pug thing, and I remember Carl Benjamin going, "How the fuck did you get verified?"
well, was he verified after the Nazi pug thing or after all the police stuff?
It was after everything, because I guess at that point he's
now he's literally a public figure,
right?
For Twitter to refuse to verify him would have been very, very like,
I don't even
this is strictly political.
And I don't think he even asked for the badge. I think they just put it on him. Speaking of Twitter, so Musk's offer, I didn't make a banner for this, but I was going to say Donald Musk. He's almost like Donald Trump with his fucking shit posting. Elon Musk, his offer has been accepted unanimously by the board. So now it goes to the shareholders. And I can't imagine a lot of shareholders voting against being bought out and being paid, tens of thousands, maybe up to millions of dollars.
I mean, what they've got to be getting 3 times the value almost.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And now I don't know if it's going to go through because he also got access to the fire hose, as they're calling it, all the data on the users at Twitter. I guess the lawyers at Twitter came out and said, yeah, you kind of are in violation of the agreement if you don't give him the data he wants. Right. So they did, right? So he may look at it and say, yeah, that 5% bot thing you said, Agrawal? No, it's 25%. The value of Twitter just dropped by 20%. So now whether that means his offer will drop by 20% or he'll get a smaller discount, I don't know. But I think, the writing's on the wall. Musk is going to be owner of Twitter probably by year end. Maybe sooner.
We should start calling him Elon Midas because he loves to take the impossible thing and make it profitable. He just knows how.
It's true.
Like Tesla was not his company. He didn't start that company.
No.
It was an electric car company that was failing terribly. And he was like, I can fix it. And he bought it. He bought it for more than it was worth, like twice what it was worth to make it worthwhile to the people who had started it, because they didn't want to let go of it. Like, they're like, no, this is our dream. We can't. He's like, here's a lot of money. I'm going to fix it for you. Like, I'm going to take care of your baby. Unlike the abortionists.
I posted, speaking of, go ahead. Sorry.
No, he just knows how to make money.
It's true.
You know what we should do? Spaceballs the flamethrower. Like, let's make that real.
The flamethrower. Yeah, that's. Let me go to my Twitter feed. One second.
You know what your city needs? Giant holes under it.
Exactly. How do I get to my profile on desktop?
No idea.
Home.
Do you just click your picture? Your profile picture?
Yeah, there we go. I'm going to share a tweet. It hasn't got a lot of interactions, only one like, but I'm quite proud of this tweet. So I'm going to share it.
Sorry, I've been avoiding social media as much as possible.
I don't blame you. I'm happy to be back on Twitter. All right. You see that? Just like the AR-15,
that's
an abortion.
That's beautiful.
It's true though, right? Because this is the argument that, well, you don't need an AR-15. It's not a matter of what I need. I want it.
Yeah.
Right? Just like you don't need an abortion. But the thing is, the argument for me having an AR-15 is much stronger than the argument for you to have an abortion. And that's all there is to it. Because, I mean, when you think about it, there are a myriad of ways for a woman to prevent a pregnancy at this point. And only in very few rare cases should it ever result in an unwanted pregnancy going anywhere beyond a few weeks. Right? So the idea that you can have an abortion up to, dilation is just obscene.
Which is
whereas
actually only true in Canada. As far
well,
as
no, in Virginia, the governor was like, well,
right.
If the baby were born, and we would set it aside, make it comfortable, and then we'd have a discussion with the mother. So wait a second, it's out of the birth canal and it's alive, and now you're wondering if now you're saying we're gonna have a conversation on whether or not we're gonna terminate we're gonna kill it or not. Yeah,
and there's the what is it? Failed abortions.
Yeah,
failed late-term abortions where it's like, oops, we didn't manage to kill the baby, so now it's alive.
Because there are certain abortion procedures where it's basically they inject in utero a chemical that's supposed to stop the baby's heart and kill it. And there was one woman, a strong anti-abortion advocate, came out and said, I was adopted. I found my birth mother, and I found out from my birth mother that I wasn't supposed to be. I said, thank you for not aborting me. And my birth mother told me, actually, you were supposed to be aborted, but you survived. And so I put you up for adoption. So
and I think that was the Virginia governor's thing, was like, in that event, that's when they'll make that decision.
Right. After the baby's born.
Yeah. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Where, a lot of people in Canada don't realize, because this is the thing that bugs me most, is something happens in the US, like Uvalde, and then we go, oh my God, we have to do something about guns. It didn't happen here. You're banning guns that weren't used in the crime. And the same thing, Roe v. Wade is overturned in the United States. So suddenly the liberals are going to attack all the conservatives about, are you going to uphold abortion rights in Canada? What the fuck happened in Canada?
Yeah.
There's literally no rules on abortion. None at all.
No, it's true. We're one of the least restrictive countries in terms of abortion. Health of the mother means she might feel bad about it, so we can abort this baby.
If a woman is in labor, her water is broken, she's 8 centimeters dilated, and if you take a glance, you'll see the head of a baby. If she can find a doctor willing to perform the procedure, she can have an abortion. People don't know that. When you tell them that, they're like, no, that can't possibly be right. Because even the people who are pro-choice, who are pro-murdering babies in utero, think that that's ridiculous. But they don't know that that's what the rules are here.
Well, this is the thing. The left constantly touts Europe about, how America should have laws more like Europe. Europe is much more restrictive in most cases than the United States when it comes to abortion, especially when you go to places like California and Virginia and some of these other very left-leaning states. They have restrictions. Like Macron put out a tweet today or something on social media, I don't know if it was on Twitter, but saying that this is a terrible decision and he stands with the right of women to, or was it Norway? No, it was France. It was Macron. He says, we stand with the right of women to choose when to be a mother, kind of thing. France has a restriction past 14 weeks. You can only have an abortion up to 14 weeks in France.
Really? Actually, that's sort of in line with thoughts I have. We can circle back to that. Because I know a couple of people who live and have lived in the UK, and there it's 24 weeks.
That's too far as far as I'm concerned.
Me too. I've got an argument to make about that. But when my friends in the UK heard this, and they were like, wait, no, that's way too long. And it's like, yeah, guess what's up in Canada? And they couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's insane. Because when it comes right down to it, everybody knows it's a baby. Now, you can say a clump of cells, you can say it's a blastocyst, you can say it's just an embryo or whatever. Yeah, to a point. But that's why I'm like, I'm opposed to abortion, but I'm not opposed to things like Plan B or the morning after pill, provided it's taken in short order, like you having, sex one night with your boyfriend, and the condom breaks, and he doesn't realize it, and you don't realize it, and he arrives.
He doesn't realize it. Sure.
Well, let's say you don't, right? Maybe it breaks on the last thrust, and boom, he explodes inside, right? Then you go, oh fuck, I just checked my calendar. I'm actually at risk right now because I'm near my ovulation time. I'm going to go to the pharmacy and I'm going to get Plan B. Now, there's people on the extreme. I wouldn't say extreme. There's people who are more conservative than I, who would say Plan B is also an abortion. I don't really see it that way, especially in situations like I described, because here is a couple of young people who are taking the steps to prevent a pregnancy, and then something happens, and they might need to terminate that pregnancy because they're college students. They got 3 more years ahead before they become professionals, and their lives are going to be completely upended by this. I do agree that if the egg becomes fertilized, it's a human life, as far as I'm concerned. However, if you take Plan B and you instigate menstruation at that point, then it's probably not at a point where the egg has been fertilized yet, especially if it's quick, like the next 48 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? The issue I take is when you say, oh, okay, well, condom broke. Oh shit, I got a midterm. And then you go to school and then you start fretting about, the grade you got on your midterm. And then before you know it, it's 3 weeks later. And then you're like, fuck, 3 weeks. Oh, there's that party this weekend. I'm going to that party. Can't think about it right now. And then before you know it, it's 6 weeks. And then it's 12 weeks. And then now there's, synapses firing in a small brain inside your uterus. And you want to end the pregnancy while there's a brain starting to form there, and there's the nascent smallest elements of human thought going on there, and you want to end the pregnancy. It might not be thought, but you know what I'm saying. The brain and brain activity. Who knows when memories start being formed? We don't even understand what memory is at this point, in which case you're now destroying a human being. But okay, Costins, a few things to say. Don't be silly, Craig. I was only going to point out that the evil of the city of Toronto, even though you're almost as evil as Irving Twin. Yeah, it's true. I'm almost as evil. I have more guns than him, too. So that is what bothers me most. There should be some regulation with regards to abortion. Yeah, I would agree. Costin's Canadian, too, yeah?
Yeah.
Whereabouts are you, Costin?
Stratford. Yeah.
Stratford, that's right. You tell me every fucking time. You'll be okay with 20 weeks. See, I think that goes too far. I think at 20 weeks, this thing, if you saw a picture of it, it's a baby. It's a small baby, but it's a fucking baby. It's got toes and shit. For the longest time, I was 12 weeks because that's roughly when the brain is starting to fire synapses. Connections are starting to be made in a brain. And I was like, okay, 12 weeks, because then it's got a human mind at that point. And I can't justify it. I've now gone back to say, you know what? Human life is human life, and you should avoid I don't believe in a soul, but I do believe in the sanctity of human life, so to speak. And I think that, you know what? It's a unique genetic being. And if you're ending the life of a unique genetic being, you're ending mountains of potential for good or something marvelous in the world.
See, I've heard the genetics position that it's a unique DNA code. I don't know if that's enough. Like, there are viruses complex enough to have DNA,
but they're not human viruses.
Doesn't matter. Then
it's not a matter. It's not about
the DNA code is not an argument.
It's not. No, it's not about the GATC markers. It's about the fact that you and I each have unique genetic code that makes us who we are. And every time a baby, a human life is conceived, there has never ever been another human life in the history of humanity with that same code. It's a unique human life, and while it might not be a soul per se, it's a unique human life. And to me, I think that has value. That's all there is to it.
I mean, okay,
yeah, but there's more genetic code in a virus. Worms have more chromosomes. It doesn't matter. I'm not concerned about viruses, and I'm not concerned about worms. I'm concerned about human life.
Okay, you keep saying human, but then leaning onto the genetics, and this is why I'm not happy about it, right? Why it doesn't necessarily convince me, because unique individual codes belong to bananas, right?
But
So
they're
hold
banana
on. If we're
codes.
talking about humans
Right.
and we're talking about rights, we need to acknowledge individual rights in a non-invasive way. Because I can't test that baby's DNA without something invasive, especially while it's in utero. So it's invasive for multiple parties. What I do know is that around the French marker, 13 weeks to 14 weeks is when a baby in utero develops fingerprints, outwardly identifiable, non-invasive, unique markers that will be the only difference in twins, in identical twins. They will have different fingerprints.
Yeah, but that's simply about how skin cells form. That's
So
why your fingerprints are different. There's nothing magical about your fingerprint being different except for the fact that it's different. The point is that
that's the same thing. That's the same argument of genetics.
no, it's not, because when you talk about a banana, humans don't give birth to bananas. They give birth to other humans. And when a conception of a human happens, that's a unique human life. And you can't just chop it up to saying, well, it's G's and A's and T's and C's. It's not just G's and A's and T's and C's. It's 23 chromosomes from the mother, 23 chromosomes from the father, mixing together to form unique genetic code that has never existed in human history. Unique human genetic code that never existed in human history.
Yeah.
That's, because it's not going to be banana code. It's not going to be worm code. It's going to be a human genetic code.
Yeah, but you know
what
bananas
have human chromosomes.
You know what bananas don't have?
Seeds.
Fingerprints.
Right, but again, like I said, I don't think there's anything magical about a human print, a fingerprint.
Neither do I.
It's just the way the skin skin cells form on the tips of the fingers, and because of variation in how things happen in biochemical processes, it's going to be different each time. But it's not, and it's a way to identify criminals. That's great, but it's nothing that sets you apart as something special in the broader sense of special, I guess is what I'm saying.
It outwardly identifies you as an individual.
Sure.
Yeah.
So does your genetic code.
No, but then a banana also, right? Like you can't combine the two things here, is what I'm saying. Right? Either the thing on its own is special or it isn't.
Human life is sacred. And I don't like using the word sacred because I'm atheist, but human life is important and it should be saved at all costs.
I also believe it's sacred, but I also believe rights are sacred, right?
But I don't believe that abortion is a right.
Neither do I. That's
Well, I'm glad we're on the same page. It's a good stream, everybody. Good night.
Driving's not a right.
We should move on though. We've been really talking about this quite a bit, so maybe we should move on though.
Wait. Oh, no.
Oh, is there something else you wanted to talk about?
No, maybe I should save it for Nobody Tells Jokes Anymore. It's an old joke. I can't remember who told it, but I'll try and make a note of it.
Yep, save it for Nobody Tells Jokes Anymore. I want to talk about something that I've seen too much lately, and this is specifically to us Canadians, and that's the ugliness inherent in Canadian identity. Not all Canadians, obviously, but this happened actually today. When the decision came down, one of my colleagues, a woman who's also a Catholic, which so it boggles the mind that she was so up in arms about this, but she started sneering at America, and she started saying, "Oh, they're terrible down there," and I've been seeing this a lot lately from family, from friends, and I guess it's something that's been going on my whole life, but I'm only really becoming aware of it now. There is a penchant for ugliness in Canada amongst Canadian citizens, where we are distinctly Canadian trait is that we're not American, and that somehow we're better than them simply by not being them. And it really gets under my skin. I'm like, if how you define yourself is by what you're not, what does that say about you? And Sam Harris made a good point about atheism back in the day, saying we shouldn't have the term atheist because it's the lack of a belief in God. It's not a thing, it's a lack of a thing. In the same way we don't have astrologists and flat earthists. You just don't believe in these things, and you don't feel the need to qualify it as an identifying characteristic of you. So atheist shouldn't. His whole thing was atheism shouldn't be the term; it should be the default, right? It shouldn't be something that you use to identify yourself as. But the horse is out of the barn already. It is how people who don't believe in God identify themselves. And if Canadians are going to identify themselves as not American, it really speaks to an ugly inferiority complex. And I think we need to I think Trudeau might have been right when he said it all those years ago. Canadians don't have a unique culture. We don't. We have a culture that says we're not American. But anyway, that's my rant about stop being ugly, people, and start valuing the differences as opposed to just saying we're better because we're not them.
See, and the thing that bugs me about the truth of this is that those people who think and say that are wrong. We're not better. We're actually significantly worse.
Well,
and they just don't fucking get it.
That's an opinion. That's a value judgment. I won't say we're better or worse than the United States. I'd say there's things in Canada that I like about Canada that I don't see in the United States. And there's things in the United States that I like in the United States that I wish I saw in Canada.
Total value score, we're worse. We're worse off.
All being equal, you think well, I would say we're less free. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say that we are more dependent on our government to the point of being childlike to a degree. I would say that, and most people are ignorant of the fact, and they think that's just the way it should be. It's a very European mindset that the state is there to take care of you, as opposed to the state is there to make sure you can take care of yourself. Yeah, I don't know.
No, yeah,
I think it all stems from the fact that we basically said, okay, we'll take a nanny state as long as we don't have to deal with the fact of deal with the problem of worrying about the cost of going to the hospital, or worrying about being unemployed, or worrying about losing our home or what have you. We know that there's going to be a safety net there that everybody else is forced to pay for, so I don't really have to worry so much. And I'm happy for you to hold a gun to my neighbor's head as long as it means at the end of the day I'm going to be taken care of. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's I've got so many thoughts. I don't even know where to start with this. So, here we are talking about a SCOTUS ruling on Roe v. Wade. And then on my radio shows that are no longer hosted by the somewhat conservative, and listening to all these leftists talking about what does that mean for Canada? It literally means nothing, but they still compare us to them, right? We talk about 2A, and that's not a right here. It's not our constitution. And they say, well, in Canada, you don't have a right to that. Well, you should, because we should all have these rights. But that's the American Constitution. Hold on, though. We talk about this document written 800 years ago in another country to this day that is the basis for all Western freedoms, like the Magna Carta.
Right. English common law.
Why do we care if that's from some other country 8 centuries ago? I really hope 800 years from now, the American Constitution is seen as the spiritual descendant of the Magna Carta for all the free peoples of the world, because clearly our constitutional monarchy isn't fucking working when our government can just turn around and say, those rights that we said you have that we guarantee, we're just going to fucking put them in a box for now. And, when you've been good boys and girls,
yep, you can.
All right. And, your body, your choice if you want to murder a baby, but your body, our choice when it comes to medication and vaccines.
Right.
I really hope that one day those free people hold them off and hold this up across the world as the gold standard.
I don't think you and I necessarily will see. I think we'll see the beginnings of it in our lifetime. I think we tend towards more freedom ultimately, and I think that's largely. I think we might have talked about this in a past stream. I think that's largely because of technological progress. As things become better and we become less at risk of dying from, the planet killing us, and we become better at survival, and then become, more used to having certain luxuries, we ultimately will become more free in that we'll come to expect certain standards of existence, right? However, the issue is that government has realized, and governments always realize this, that if you keep people pacified and entertained, they won't give a shit about rights being taken away because they don't see the value in them because they don't exercise them. So, like, I made a point on Twitter a while back saying, we live in a dictatorship now, but nobody cares because they have Netflix and hockey. And as long as they have Netflix and hockey, they're not going to give a fuck about wanting to fly across country without a vaccine passport. They're not going to give a fuck. And as a matter of fact, they'll come to sneer at those people who didn't get vaccinated because they're the other. And the government in Canada is really good at doing this, at otherizing people who don't share the political, the political position that they've constructed their Overton window around. It's really, really, it's another ugly part of Canadian ugliness. And when Trudeau said those things about the truckers and basically did a Hillary Clinton moment, called them essentially deplorables and said they were, had unacceptable views and they were bad people. Yeah. I was so incensed. I'm like, you know what? That should be an offense, that if a public official ever characterizes a member of the constituency in that way, they should be thrown out of office. And it doesn't matter if they're on a different political side or not. There's a way to speak about your political opponents without vilifying them and sowing division. Now, I don't think we should pass a law, but I think the culture should demand that politicians who speak disparagingly of their constituents should be run out of office. I mean, you think about what Trudeau said, and he said it in front of cameras. Imagine if he'd been caught on a hot mic talking about it, and it was recorded surreptitiously, right? And he spoke his mind in a more glib manner as opposed to a polished manner the way he did. His career would be over because people would say, "Oh, this is what he really thinks of us." But he told us face to face in front of cameras as a point of pride that this is how he thought of us. So why isn't he out on his ear at this point?
Because people are, I don't know, what's the word? Inured to it. They're so used to it that they don't just accept it, they expect it, and they've convinced themselves, if they don't actually like it, that they like it. And I mean, look, here's something that
right. I think you're right. People are inured to it, but I think it's uniquely a product of his father, because he was very good at that. Another liberal leader who I have issues with, Jean Chrétien, he was very good at that. He sneered at not just his political opponents, but he sneered at the constituency that they represented, and it really, really is disgusting. And I think it's something that politicians should face some comeuppance for. That's my point of view.
Perfect example of what you're saying. I'm also hearing on my stupid fucking radio shows that are no good anymore, they're complaining about people, what's the word, ribbing others about their mask. You're wearing a mask in public and someone goes, like, it's over, you can take the mask off. Like 90% of people, just leave them alone. It's their choice. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
After 2 fucking years of berating us and shaming us, that if somebody dare say, you can take that off, that's what a terrible person you are. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, which side you're on. It's just this whole, othering.
Yeah. It was a litmus test. The whole mask thing and the business closures was a litmus test for the government to see how much can we get away with. Let's see if they'll follow the stickers on the shopping mall floors where they stay 6 feet apart when they're standing in line in fucking -20 weather. Let's see if they'll actually do that when there's plenty of room for them to go inside, but we'll just make them stand out in the fucking cold. it was all to see what can we put on the Canadian people and the American people in many states, and how much will they take before they just go nuts. And the fact of the matter is, they played it perfectly because they played neighbor against neighbor. They played Canadian against Canadian. If you don't do this, you're a bad person. If you don't get the vaccine, you want grandma to die. What?
Oh man. Oh,
people are very easily manipulated, and politicians have become expert at doing it, and the media has become expert at doing it.
You want grandma to die thing, like it just. We told them, every not even conservative, every person with half a head for economics told them, if you shut down tens of thousands of businesses, if you print hundreds of millions of dollars and give it away, you're going to destroy the economy. You're going to put 2 million people out of work. Okay, you're going to inflate the currency. Everything's going to go wrong. And their response was, you just want grandma to die. Now,
Irving, come on. You know that our financial woes are a result of Vladimir Putin invading Ukraine. Everybody knows that.
The inflation is off the charts. Gas is $8 a gallon. Okay? And they're talking on the radio like this is just a thing that happened. There was nothing we warned you. We tried to stop you. What the fuck are you talking about?
It's transitory.
Oh my God.
Don't worry. It's going to end soon. It's transitory. No, we are in recession. And it's going to be. And here's the thing. Here, I put on my tin hat. One second here. Get my tin hat.
Go get your tin hat. I'm going to tell you, though, I'm at the point now where suddenly I'm with Antifa and the cultural Marxists. Yeah, burn it all down. Just burn it all down, because trust me, Antifa and the cultural Marxists aren't going to be the ones to survive the ashes, okay? And then let the ANCAPs run it for a little while, and then we'll build an empire out of it. But yeah, at this point, just burn it down.
Okay, I got my tin hat on to prevent Bill Gates from reading my brainwaves. Okay, here's the thing. All right? There's going to be a global recession. Not just recession in the Western countries, not just recession in Canada, the United States. Global recession.
It's actually happening now, but okay.
If it's not already a global recession, it's damn near it.
It's begun.
It will become a global depression, which we've never seen. We've never seen a global depression. We've seen depression in a country. We've seen depression in a particular region around the world. But we've never seen a global depression. We will. And that's when Klaus Schwab and the WEF are going to swoop in and say, we can fix it. Here's how we do it. We're going to take over the monetary policy for every Western nation, every nation who wants to get on board. You'll have no debt. Everything's going to be reset. You'll have no debt. You don't have to worry about debt anymore. However, all of your property belongs to the World Economic Forum. And this is how it's going to play out. That's what's going to happen. All right, I'm taking off my tinfoil hat now.
No, you're not wrong. That's actually the plan. That was leaked in like 2015 during the first reign of Trudeau II.
Yeah.
That this was like the idea that they were going to work towards basically destabilizing our own economy to, create all kinds of debt for people that got in when things were decent.
Yeah.
And then go, oh no, now suddenly your interest rate on that mortgage you took out 6-7 years ago is 6% and you can't afford it. Default on the loan. You can live in the house and you won't owe anything, but it doesn't belong.
Not your house anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be basically a.
But the real kicker was you can't own anything ever again.
Well, no, I think the idea would be
no. That was it. Part of the leak. You no longer own anything ever.
Right. Well, because the plan will be that everything's going to be rented or borrowed. You won't own a car. If you need a car, you'll rent a car briefly. If you're not going to have a bank of CDs on your shelf, you're going to get all your music from Spotify. You're going to get all your media streaming services. You're not going to own DVDs or whatever. And that's the plan. That's ultimately what's going to happen, and it's already happening, right?
Thank God Elon Musk is a hair's breadth away from getting us to colonize Mars, because I'm gonna get on one of those, right? I'm just gonna you know what? They left Europe. They had a Wild West, vaguely lawless, not nearly as bad as people think it is based on the movies we watch.
Yeah.
All right, and then what did they do? They fucking authoritarianed it. That the internet comes along. Oh my God, Wild West internet, and now what's happening? If you say bad things on the internet, police are going to come to your fucking house.
That's right.
Yep. Right? We have to go to space. We have to colonize somewhere else just to have a Wild West again. Just to have.
The problem is,
maybe the ANCAPs are right, except they just can't hold on to anything.
No, I have a feeling that, and I agree with you. I think Mars colonization will be a perfect test case for a different form of government. The problem I see with it is that Tesla's going to be the head of the government. And I like Elon Musk, but he's not going to be around forever. So what's going to happen is you're going to have basically people working for the company. And it's going to be like those mining towns where the mine company owned everything in the town. And if you wanted to buy something, you bought it at the company store. It's going to be like that on Mars.
He's got something up his sleeve. He always does,
But again, he's not going to be around forever. So I can see Mars becoming like a Pennsylvania mining town where you owe everything to the company store. Anything you get is just an advance on your paycheck.
Prior to his death, he will disperse all his company ownings to each person, equal shares to each individual, right? And that'll be he'll leave us with that, and we'll do what we want after that, right? And something along those lines, right?
Yep.
We, the free people of Mars, everybody armed. There's 1/8 of an inch of fucking clear plexi steel glass straight out of Star Wars on our dome, and everybody's got a firearm.
Yep, transparent steel they called it, right?
Yeah, transparent steel. That's right.
Yeah, I'm sure. And you know what? I think I saw a science video about how somebody has created something akin to transparent steel. It's as strong as metal, but perfectly clear. And
it's called graphene.
Well, yeah. Isn't that black though? Isn't graphene black?
No, graphite is black. Graphene can be whatever you want it to be.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Speaking of Canadian uglies, let's talk about this. Is the public advocacy portion of the show, of the stream. I implore everybody who's Canadian, Costin, I know you're in Ajax, or not Ajax. I keep saying Ajax. You're in Stratford. Please.
I live in Ajax.
You know why? Because there's somebody who comes to stream sometime called Ajax, and I keep thinking he's from Ajax, but he's in the United States. Anyway, and I'm surprised that we have 5 people watching, but the only Costin has interacted with the chat so far tonight, and that's kind of disappointing. But if you want to say something, please do, and we'll share your chat in the window.
But our viewers are strong silent types.
That's fine. You know what? As long as they're hearing our words of wisdom and seeing our beautiful mugs, all good. I implore everybody to write your MP, write every senator in Parliament to ask them to stop Bill C-21, not just for the firearms rights, which are very important, but also for airsoft. If C-21 passes, airsoft is gone. It's done. It's forever gone in Canada. The industry is completely dead, putting people out of work and destroying a lovable sport. And speaking of which, I want to show you all something.
Yeah, buddy.
This is my, ignore the obnoxious orange tip, but this is my most recent acquisition. See if you can get it in there. It is a Airsoft P90 AEG. This is semi-auto. This is full auto. Anyway, this is my P90. It's my new favorite toy, and I can't wait to get out on the field and use it before
people are going to suffer at your next outing, bro. Hit that again.
Battery's almost dead. It actually shoots about 15 rounds per second. But yeah, P90 baby, made famous in Stargate. Anyway. And I'm going to replace the obnoxious orange tip. The reason it has the orange tip is because it's shipped from the United States, where they have that restriction. All guns have to be sold and transported with orange tips. Canada, we don't have that restriction, but because it came from the United States, it has it. I got to get rid of it. Put something else on there. All right, Costin says something else. He says they know that everyone who interacts with chat is evil. What they don't know is that everyone who doesn't interact with this chat is evil. I'm beginning to think that everyone's evil. I love Stargate, says Costin. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan, to be honest. I saw the movie and I'm like, wow, this is really visually impressive, but I don't see a story here. Like, there wasn't much of a story. It was like a video game movie, but I got the concept. I can understand why there's a love of it, because it's a really cool universe, I guess. I just never really got into it. I don't know why.
That's back when Kurt Russell was just being a soldier in every movie, including the one called Soldier. And he was just super cool at the time.
Soldier is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Like Soldier, where's my hands? Soldier versus Universal Soldier.
I've never seen Universal Soldier. That's with Van Damme and Lundgren, right?
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great for like a sort of a bad movie. Like,
it's like a sci-fi action movie too, right?
Yeah.
I need to watch it because everybody tells me how good it is, and I've never seen it, but I should watch it.
Yeah, it's super cool.
So yes, I implore you all, please write your member of parliament, write the senators, every senator, because they're all going to be looking on it, to stop Bill C-21. You know what? There's so few cool, fun things to do here in Canada, and this is just one that they're going to take away, whether it be sport or recreational shooting with real steel firearms, or playing airsoft in a field, or at Siege Airsoft in Scarborough. Like, if you've never done airsoft, you should try it. It's so much fun. And if you shoot real guns and you've never done airsoft, dude, you're missing out, because there's only so much fun you can get out of shooting paper down a long, stinky hallway at your range.
It does smell.
It does smell. All the fucking lead and the gunpowder smell. It starts to stink. But shooting airsoft, getting to shoot little 6mm BBs at your friends, so much fun. Nothing more fun than that. And it doesn't hurt. It stings for like 5 seconds, and then you're back in the game. But anyway, I implore you all, please do your best. Do everything you can to stop Bill C-21. And if you're going to reach out to your MP, reach out to the senators, write them an actual mail and mail it to them. Because it's one thing to get a blast of emails and have your assistant just, delete them or file them under G. But when a pile of mail comes in, and every day that senator or that MP walks by and sees their assistant going through the mail and having to read and respond possibly to every single piece of mail, maybe they'll get the picture that this is important to a lot of Canadians.
And for me, this whole thing is just straight up stupid. Right?
It is. It also doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that it's, oh my God, a terrible travesty occurred in another country. So here in this country, we're going to respond to that travesty by banning a series of firearms that weren't used in the commission of that crime.
Right.
And some toys while we're at it, because why not? Like, it just...
No,
again,
the argument
it's part of that Canadian ugliness tag. Ugliness tag.
It is part of the Canadian ugliness tag, but that's why I moved it to this point.
Yeah.
But it is Canadian ugliness, the way our government treats us as though we're fucking children. That's why they got rid of lawn darts too. But yeah, please stop Bill C-21. Speaking of Bill C-21, speaking of firearms in Canada, you know about Ms. Lucky?
Hold on. I do think you should be allowed to own lawn darts, but you should have to keep them in a safe, locked away from your children. Like, yeah.
Used improperly, anything can be dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. But lawn darts,
yeah,
they got one use. Throw them up in the air.
That's the dangerous way of using them. You're supposed to throw them at the circle at the other end of the lawn.
Up in the air.
up in the air. I can dodge it. Yeah. No. But in the same vein, you know about Ms. Lucky, the head of the RCMP, the RCMP commissioner. Yes.
Yes. Now you've informed me about the name. I heard something vaguely about it earlier, but now I know the name and more of the details thanks to you before we went live here.
Okay, so for those of you who aren't aware, so the issue here is that the commissioner of the RCMP, a woman by the last name of Lucky, I don't know what her first name is, spelled Lucki, pressured the RCMP officers and investigators looking into the Nova Scotia shooting that happened in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, 2020, where there was a spree killer, essentially, who disguised himself as an RCMP officer, disguised his car to look like an RCMP car, and went around parts of rural Nova Scotia and shot up people and shot up places. During the investigation,
13 hours.
yes, a long time. It was a good long spree killing, and I can't remember how many people passed away. I think it was 17 or something like that, 13, something like that. Anyway, you killed a lot of people, set fires, did a lot of bad stuff. Shortly after that, Justin Trudeau and the Safety Minister Bill Blair issued the order in council that basically took 1,600 different variants of sporting rifles, made them prohibited weapons overnight, essentially, and gave people a brief window in which to surrender them or destroy them or sell them or what have you, sell them
or
back.
Lose them in unfortunate boating accidents.
Or lose them in unfortunate boating accidents, or, put them in a PVC pipe and bury them in the backyard. So during the investigation, Commissioner Lucky came down on the investigators and said, "We want you to release to the press the types of firearms that were used in this shooting." And the investigator said, "We can't do that because it would undermine the investigation and the cooperation we're having going on in the United States with our counterparts there, because we know that these were smuggled in from the United States. Yeah. And if we release the types of firearms that were used, it will undermine the investigation." And she got very upset. She didn't raise her voice apparently, but she chastised her officers. She made them feel as though they were bad people, and she cited the reason for her upset was because gun legislation was on the table to be passed, and this was integral to getting that gun legislation passed. Now, the implication of this is that Bill Blair and the Prime Minister's office pressured her or asked her for her cooperation in getting this information out there to the Canadian public so that they could better sell the Order in Council and ultimately Bill C-21. It just shows that the level of corruption that the Trudeau government and the Prime Minister's office has, in that they put pressure on law enforcement to get their agenda moved along, so to speak. And yeah, it's another piece of corruption. Now people are saying, "Oh, this is the downfall of Trudeau." I've come to believe that Trudeau will never be thrown out of office. He will need to be voted out of office. And I have friends and colleagues who don't think he will be voted out of office in 2025. They think he's probably going to be voted back in. And I don't know. I do know this. I think if Justin Trudeau gets voted back in, I think he'll push to become Prime Minister for life. I think he will. I think he'll look at it as like, he'll look at some sort of thing going on in the world, maybe another pandemic, maybe some sort of terrorist attack, maybe some new war that has to come on the horizon, and he'll say, "We need stable leadership in this time, so we're withholding elections," and then the elections will just be withheld indefinitely, and then he'll just ultimately become Prime Minister for life. And no one will even question it because Canadians are a bunch of fucking sheep. But
that's
my suspicion anyway.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you've come around. A while ago, I was telling you how fucking black-pilled I am, that it's like, no, man, this country's on the downswing. I've got to escape. And like, if I don't get to Texas, I'm going to be in the gulag here. And like,
You know what? I think there might be a little bit of shine to that black pill, though. Like it's a glossy black. Here's what I see happening with the Roe v. Wade. Now, I was going to actually try and find the stream of outside the Supreme Court because they're talking about it being the night of violence, right, or the night of rage or whatever. There's protests going on right now outside the Supreme Court. There's talk of things being, firebombed, and there being, mostly peaceful fire bombings going on tonight. I don't know. It's the weekend, and if it's going to happen, it's going to happen this weekend. But Tim Pool is a big. He wants to be the canary in the coal mine, saying this is the Civil War. This is Civil War 2.0. This is what's going to spark civil war in the United States. The decision of Roe v. Wade, and the people on one side saying, let's kill babies, and people on the other side saying, you can't kill babies, and they're going to fight over it and be fighting, a sort of low-key hot war in the streets and in certain sites over the next few years. Ultimately, the belief being that certain states are going to defy anything that comes out of the Biden administration, out of Congress, that they don't believe in, and they're going to secede. Texas might ultimately secede. It's going to be a referendum item, or they want to make it a referendum item. It's in the legislature right now to add it as a referendum item, whether or not Texas should secede. If Texas secedes, and if things get really bad in Canada, because the cultures overlap, Canada doesn't have a core identity. We're defined by what we're not. There's going to be plenty of people in Western Canada that I think, hey, if Texas can give a go of it, maybe we can too. And I think what you were talking about a few months back about Alberta needs to separate, and probably should. And if they do, there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Yeah.
If they see Texas have a go at it and succeed, and by seceding, they're just going to say, we're not listening to anything you say anymore, federal government. Fuck off. We're going to run things our own way. That's how secession will work, and that's really all Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan really have to do is say, "Fuck you, Ottawa. We're going to do what we're going to do, and you can't do a damn thing about it."
Yeah, like there's not enough military force in Canada to actually like go and try and stop them.
And not only that, a lot of the military comes from those Western.
Yeah, exactly. That if you took all the veterans
arms against their neighbors, no.
Yeah, it's something. I think it's something ridiculous, like 50% of all the veterans, and that doesn't mean old people that fought in World War II. That means people who have been honorably discharged, having served their time.
Yep,
are from Alberta and Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Like it's nuts that if those people decided, you know what, we're free of this country, and the army turned on them, they'd be like, no, we literally own more firearms than the army does. Like,
yeah,
you're not coming in here,
or if you are, it's going to be a fight.
Yeah, like you understand.
Right, and here's the thing: people who want to unshackle themselves from a large centralized power that's remote, they're the ones who are willing to die for it. I think you'll find a lot of armed forces who may have taken an oath and sworn to do it might have a hard time, following the edicts of Ottawa or the commanders to take up arms against their fellow Canadians. I think in the United States you might see it because there's going to be interstate feuding and interstate conflict, but I think in Canada it might be trickier. But who knows if anybody has the guts to do it in Canada. But there's the shine on the black pill. We might see secession here too. Oh Christ, I'm yawning already.
Yeah, no, there might not be an after hours.
Sorry, man.
No, it's okay.
You had a long week and I had a long week, so
yes,
it's all good.
Rough go.
So Costin says he loves Stargate. So you were familiar with the P90, and the series was better. That's what I hear. The series was better. Well, it was more developed, right? Stargate the movie was really.
It was more
I
like.
can't decide if there was any plot. There was no plot. There was a story, but there was no plot.
Like it was like, what if this conspiracy theory about aliens built the pyramids was real?
Mm-hmm.
Go. Like that's all
Yeah,
it
it's
really
really
was.
a concept. It's almost like they said,
Yeah.
I've got a treatment. I've got a paragraph and a half that's a treatment for a sci-fi movie that I want Kurt Russell to be in and James Spader to be in. And somebody said, I like your treatment. Okay, let's go shoot it. When can you start shooting? Well, we don't have a script yet. Fuck it.
Pretty
Shoot it.
much, yeah.
Go shoot it.
We'll
It's
make up
mostly
a
action.
language
It's
and
mostly action sequences and special effects. Just write a few lines here and there where James Spader yells at Kurt Russell and Kurt Russell yells at James Spader. That's it. Maybe put a photo of his kid somewhere so you can see that he's fucking broken or something.
yeah,
Oh, that's a good idea. I never thought about that.
He's truly a wounded soldier. Like,
He is, yeah. But you know what? That's how you tell movies. That's how you tell stories. You just have to establish it in a single shot. Him looking at a picture of his dead son. That establishes all the pain that you need to know that motivates the character.
That's the beauty of film, right? Yeah. You can do that. You don't have to tell anyone.
You can do that.
Show them.
And you should do that. But what you do is you make shows on Disney Plus like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Have you been watching Obi-Wan Kenobi?
No.
It's a goddamn fucking garbage show. It is
I
terrible.
don't doubt it.
It is terrible. And here's okay, I've watched a few things on the Disney Channel recently. Okay? I watched Ms. Marvel, which I'll get to. I've watched I like Marvel stuff, so I'm going to watch Marvel stuff.
Sure.
I watched Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness, and I watched Kenobi. Kenobi's garbage. Multiverse of Madness was pretty. It was really cool looking, but it had an issue that I have to air. And then Ms. Marvel, which you think would be juvenile and garbage, is the best of the three. Seriously, it is the most engaging story of the three.
Okay.
The characters are likable. The acting is decent. And even though I'm not a Muslim Pakistani girl, I empathize with the character. And she's doing the traditional hero's story journey, the hero's journey story arc.
12 steps.
That didn't happen in Kenobi. It didn't happen in Multiverse of Madness. And here's the other thing that I didn't like about Kenobi and Multiverse of Madness. You've got the character of Reva in Kenobi. She's a villain, okay? She's one of the sisters of the people who hunted the Jedis, right? She's a bad guy throughout the entire series, but she redeems herself at the very end because she's Wanda. Wanda is the villain in Multiverse of Madness. Spoiler alert. But they establish it in the first 20 minutes of the movie. You find out that she's the villain. They basically had the third act, the second act, and then the 3.5 act. There was no first act in that fucking movie, and you established that Wanda's the villain in the first 25 minutes of the movie, which is like, it should have been a mystery. You shouldn't have known it was her.
The first act was the show WandaVision.
Yeah.
Which I otherwise loved. I actually really enjoyed it until the last 10 minutes when the cop lady basically tried to absolve Wanda of all wrongdoing.
Yeah.
With the whole line about they'll never know what you gave up for them. What? Bitch, she's the villain.
You gave up nothing. You gave up imaginary children. Here's the thing.
Like
the motivation in WandaVision, you think she would have learned for her lesson from what she did to the people of that poor fucking town? The motivation in WandaVision is the same motivation in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
And she gets a redemption arc. She's a villain. She killed countless of people in the movie Multiverse of Madness. And Doctor Strange starts out with, well, you made it right in the end. No, you fucking didn't. Those people will never get that fucking time back where their brains were taken over by you. You can't make that right. Making it right would you be going to jail or going to the raft. That would have made it right.
We're taking this too seriously, but I love it. She let them go and disappeared for a while. And had he said something like, you're isolating yourself and maybe you'll work towards atonement at some point.
Right.
That would have been better.
Yeah.
Right. But that wasn't what happened.
No.
She stole the book.
That's right.
And she was studying the book.
So she could find a universe where her children actually existed.
And like this again, they didn't go deep enough into it. Sorry, spoiler alerts, guys. That she should have been trying to use the magic to ultimately do something that would be eventually okay.
Yeah.
And that would be a thing that she could use to justify all the bad actions, because in the end it would be fixed as if those actions never occurred.
Right.
But they didn't really go into that.
No. The movie was disappointing. There was a lot of fan service and saying we want a live action version of Captain Carter. Cool, yay! We want Black Captain Marvel. Yay, cool, we got it. We want we want to see Reed Richards. Oh my God, Professor X is in this. He's part of the Illuminati.
Also,
all very cool, but
also this movie was the bridge. That this was the point of this movie, right?
Yeah.
They, I'm pretty sure, are obviously, if they have Jean-Luc Picard, what's his name? Patrick Stewart,
yeah,
as Xavier, they have some deal worked out with whoever has the rights to X-Men.
I think it's Fox. No, I think Disney has Fox now too. So,
oh, do they own it now?
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. But that's what it was. We're bridging Avengers and X-Men, and now we can have Avengers X-Men together,
as well as Fantastic Four.
Right. And actually, it was, a lot of people thought it was a funny choice. What's his name there?
John Krasinski?
Yes.
Yeah. He was great.
I think he's great.
He did a great job as Reed Richards. I believed it.
For that short time, yeah. But
he is, you know what? John Krasinski or whatever his name is, he's actually a solid actor. And he's so likable. He's got that Paul Rudd, Chris Pratt kind of thing going on, where he looks like an everyman who, isn't
But he's
great.
jacked now?
What's that?
But he's jacked now.
Oh, I know, yeah. Well, I think the suit probably had some stuff on it.
No. Have you seen the Clancy movie? What's the Clancy show?
Oh, right. Yeah. The I know what you're talking about. Yeah. The I've seen the one where he plays Jack Ryan. Yeah.
Yes. He's fucking, because he was always tall.
Yeah.
But he put on like a solid 15 pounds of muscle. Like he's got shoulders and pecs now.
Yeah.
He's not just that guy from The Office. Like,
no, he's solid. He's solid. I think he was the bright light on that show. I mean, I love Michael Scott, but be honest, you were really there for Pam and what's his name? What's his character's name again? Jim Halpert. You're really there for Pam and Jim Halpert's story arc. That's why you were there. I love The Office. Great show. But ultimately, people tuned in every week. They wanted to see the Pam Jim storyline progress. I'm just disappointed with Disney. Oh, Ms. Marvel. Have you been watching it? I'm guessing not, right?
No.
It's actually not bad.
I'll take a look. But I've just been a little turned off. You know why? Because I was really hoping to love Moon Knight.
Yeah.
And I was watching it. I think I got into 4 or maybe 5 episodes. And it is visually beautiful. I know that actor, and even though he's been in some very bad movies, right? I still liked his character in those movies.
Pedro Pascal is actually, I was impressed because when he was Poe Dameron in the Star Wars stuff, I'm like, why is this guy so likable? I don't like him. He's like a throwaway side character. And I don't think
he was the only thing I liked in that series of movies, right? Yeah. And here he is, and he's doing a great job. He acts the shit out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't get connected.
See,
and I loved Moon Knight as a kid. I loved that comic
book. Yeah.
So what happened?
I think anybody who read the comic book was disappointed by it, by the series. I never read the comic book, so I came at it, ignorant.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the series. I thought it was decent. I don't think it was the best series Marvel Disney Plus series that they've done. I think my favorite, as silly as it is probably Hawkeye, because I like Renner and I like the idea of guys without powers.
It was good.
Dealing with shit. So
See, and again, without powers, he's got some kind of power. They just haven't
yeah,
codified it.
he can't fucking miss.
Yeah,
He never fucking misses.
like,
That's his power.
but it is almost mutant, but they don't know if it's mutant. They haven't figured it out. But yeah, he's special. He's definitely special, and not on a human scale.
Yeah, he approaches superhuman. I don't think
Yeah.
he's there, but he approaches superhuman.
But Moon Knight just felt, I don't know, a little mechanical. Like you were talking about the hero journey
Yeah.
that Miss Marvel is doing well.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was happening for fuck, now I can't remember his name. But he's like he's two people, and he's also Moon Knight and being called to greatness by this other character. But it was like literally step by step by step. There was no twist, there was no fun play. It just felt very methodical, mechanical, and something about it was not right for me. And I literally gave up on it. Like, you know what I love? The Boys. We mentioned The Boys.
Oh my god, it's been so good.
Fucking Dennis Quaid's kid.
Yeah.
Being called by some regular Joe into this world of fucking like just madness.
Yeah.
And his life changes in this most horrific and gory way. Like,
yes,
this is something that is it's there's something magical about this. Because
did you ever read the comic The Boys?
No. Have you?
So I have, yeah. They've taken liberties with it, but they've kept the spirit of it. The Boys is very gross. The comic book series, it's very gory,
of course,
just like the series. And the funny thing is that the character of Huey, Butcher calls him Wee Huey because he's a little guy, right? He's not tall and lanky; he's a little guy. And
no. Does he call him Wee because no matter what, he's always the boy? He's always the youngest of them, the newest. He's Wee Huey,
yes.
like he doesn't know anything.
It's like that, but also in the comics, he's also the smallest of them, right? He's the wet behind the ears novice, but he's also small in stature. So he calls him Wee Huey, and they have a much better relationship, Huey and Butcher. It's actually like, kind of like an Obi-Wan Luke kind of situation. This one they've kind of like played them off each other, like there's rivalry and there's anger more than in the comic.
Okay.
But in the comic book, Wee Huey is modeled after Simon Pegg. And in the series, Simon Pegg plays his dad, which is kind of funny. Because Simon Pegg would have been too, like the comic came out a decade or so ago. Simon Pegg would have been too old to play Wee Huey because he's meant to be a younger guy, right? But no, I've been really enjoying it. And the other thing I can't wait to come back is Invincible. Did you watch the Invincible animated series?
Yes. Yeah.
So
you
good.
turned me onto it.
So good. My God.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like it's a cartoon, The Boys. Like,
yeah. The cool thing about the comic, did you read the comic book, Invincible?
No.
See, I'm a big fan of Kirkman. I like Walking Dead. I like Invincible way more than Walking Dead because I think zombies are just kind of played out. But Invincible's great because it starts out as this 4-color clone of the DC universe, right? And you're like, oh, cool, another 4-color comic book universe. And then it goes off the rails and becomes very dark and violent.
Yeah.
And then the subject matter gets even darker and more violent. And so it's like there's this like disconnect between what you're seeing panel to panel, and then there's this big splash page where there's blood and guts everywhere. And you're like, wait a second, this isn't a 4-color comic book. This is a fucking brutal, example of the violence inherent in superhuman societies, right?
But Invincible still has that superhero DC, I don't want to say campiness, but also like that, like there are characters and players in the game that are all about truth and justice, and we're going to do the right thing. Where in The Boys, it's very gritty right out the gate, where it's all a facade. We're selling you a product. We're shitty people. We're as shitty as everybody, but we're just more powerful. So we're shittier, right? And it's like that, I think, is what would happen.
Oh yeah, no
If
doubt.
there were those people in real life, like,
If there were superheroes in the world, they would be corporatized. Absolutely, they would be
and
corporatized.
they would all be that corrupt.
I have a feeling though, because the media exists. Okay, so we're talking completely, fantastical hypothetical here. Okay, so we have media like The Boys, we have media like, the Dark Horse comics, and we have media like, all of the the deconstruction superhero media that we have now,
Yeah.
because superheroes are an art form, they're a genre. Now all of a sudden, superheroes are actually a thing in this world. And so, of course, corporate America wants to try and emulate what exists already in the culture. And what I think would happen is people would be less accepting of it. It would almost be a joke. They would never become NBA stars. They'd always become kind of like 1980s variety TV show stars, where they're, it's entertaining to watch for a half an hour, but nobody takes it seriously and everybody realizes that it's garbage TV, right? Um, So yeah, that's what I think would happen. But no, I like what I like about Invincible. I didn't know that this stream was going to turn into, comic deconstruction. But what I like about Invincible is it's the four color universe. It's the whole superheroic pantheon type of godlike creatures living amongst humans and protecting them, and holding all of these, noble, lofty values and that sort of thing. But you know that there's this dark seediness underneath it, because the real world isn't that cut and dry and beautiful and idealistic. Um, but the boys, it's yeah, it's almost like a really sort of like, it's a dark deconstruction of the superhero
The
genre, right?
The Boys is if Rorschach wrote a comic.
Rorschach from The Watchmen.
Yeah.
You know what? I would say it's almost like The Watchmen if Alan Moore didn't take himself too seriously. You know what I mean?
Uh yeah. But if he got into Rorschach's head
Yeah.
and had Rorschach write it for him,
Mhm.
it would have been that,
Yeah.
right? Because
Everything's a
that's what
conspiracy.
Rorschach thinks of everything.
Yeah, everything is a conspiracy. The corporate overlords are shitting on you, and you don't even know it because you're being entertained.
And you don't care because you're
Yeah.
being, like, you do know it on some level, but you don't give a shit anymore because
Yeah.
you're just as shitty as they are. And if
Well,
you had their opportunities, you'd take them. Like,
that's the thing about this season too, right? Because it all sort of took a twist when Homelander came out and said, "I am better than you,"
yep,
and you're being lied to constantly by this company and by the media, and they're feeding you shit, and you need to start seeing the truth and stop believing the bullshit lies. They're trying to turn Homelander into a Trumpian character.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
um,
absolutely. Right.
yeah,
And but they're wrong about Trump and Homelander because Homelander
yeah,
is Justin Trudeau.
that's right. Homelander is a true narcissistic egotist, and I mean, I don't like blowing smoke up Trump's ass. He's no perfect human being, but I do think on a genuine level, he is a patriot who loves his country.
No, no, I
Huh?
don't believe that for a
You don't
second.
think Trump's a patriot who loves his country?
Oh, Trump. I
Not
thought you said
Homelander.
Trudeau.
No, 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 no.
No, I
Trump
thought you were
is a
talking about
patriot who loves
Trudeau
his
for a second.
country.
Yeah.
No, no. Trump is a patriot who loves his country. Homelander and Trudeau are narcissist egotists
Yeah.
who think they are better than everybody else.
Trump at worst, Trump is also a narcissistic egotist who thinks it makes him better to be a patriot and love his country, so he does it.
No, I think he genuinely loves his country.
It's
I just
possible.
think I just think he has huge balls because confidence is how he's achieved what he's achieved. And so he has to constantly puff himself up, and he takes great offense when people try to dismiss or undermine his successes and how good he is, and how not good in terms of morals, but good at what he's doing, successful,
Yeah.
right? So when people undermine that or call into question, it is a bruise to his ego, and he takes great offense to it. But I think deep down inside, yeah, I think he really does give a shit, and he just thinks I'm the guy for the job because I don't need to do this. I'm doing this because I want to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I mean, assume for a moment that he is narcissistic or egotistical, at least, obviously, a little bit. Uh, it's because of the state of his country,
yeah.
because of that freedom, that he is able to achieve that success. Without those freedoms, he wouldn't have been able to do that. Right?
No.
So he needs it. And I think this is something someone used to talk about. The people on the left often decry the nation and want to burn it down.
Yeah.
People on the right are also corrupt, but more like the mafia, they prefer that it runs smoothly so that there's profit to skim off the top. And they'll skim it off the top, but it has to continue to run, and everybody involved has to continue to thrive so that there's plenty to skim, right?
Yeah.
So it's two different corruptions, one of which generates wealth, one doesn't.
Right. Well, Carlson says, should Craig Bragg blow smoke up Trump's ass? I think I just did.
Yeah. I
Or
think
at
we
the very,
all are in our
least,
weird
at the
way.
very least, I blew a fat cloud of vapor up his ass. Because I don't smoke anymore. I vape. I'm a vapist.
Vapist.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's why I'm saying, like, I don't want to blow smoke up his ass. When I say he loves his country, loving your country is a good thing, I suppose. But loving it unconditionally and thinking that it's more than it is, I think he realizes the corruption inherent in the political system.
Yeah.
And he sees that people have been fucked over for decades. I mean, he talked about possibly running 30 years ago on Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
He said, if things ever really got bad, I might run, but not at this time. And people have been begging him to run for president forever. And only when he actually did people get upset about it. Because I think the people, the Democrats and the people who are like, oh, he'll be terrible, they actually never expected him to run. People say, oh, Trump never expected to win. No, Trump didn't go into it thinking he was going to lose. It wasn't just a publicity stunt. He planned to win, and he did. And he surrounded himself with good people for his campaign and less good people for his presidency. But yeah, and him winning and him running surprised them more because as much as they wanted him to run, they never really expected him to do so. And when he did, it really threw them for a loop. And I think they all realized, fuck, if he does run, he's going to win. So we have to get out ahead of it and try and undermine him at every fucking opportunity. Because if he does, then the game's over. Like Hillary Clinton said it best on election night. Someone needs to fix this or we're all going to fucking jail. She said it. She's on record of having said it.
Yeah, it's
not record, but it was overheard that she'd said it. This better get fixed or we're all going to jail. One can dream. Anyway, man, we're coming up on 2 hours. You said you're not going to do an after hours tonight because...
Well, no. You were yawning.
I was yawning, it's true. I am tired. Okay. I'm not going to lie. It's been a long week for me, too. I'm tired.
Okay. All right.
I worked the department solo today, and it was pretty hectic. So,
oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't mind either way, but I'm okay.
All right. It's been a great discussion, though. I really appreciate all of the interaction from Costin, and I don't know how many. It says we have 5 people watching right now. If you're watching, thanks for watching, and if you wanted to say something in the chat before we go, by all means. We're going to try and do this on a weekly basis, me and Irving, and on nights where time permits and our mental state is such that it allows, we're going to do after hours on Irving's channel immediately following or shortly after Ammunation ends. But thanks everyone for watching. Irving, where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube, Irving Twin. I actually have my own name as my URL now.
Yeah, lucky guy.
Yeah.
How'd you reach that? You go over 500 subscribers and that happened?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's
Or?
where
Get
it
over
goes.
500
We'll get you there one day.
One day.
Squid Coyote. Oh my God. Yeah.
Squid Coyote, thanks for saying hi. Who's Squid Coyote? I'm not sure I know.
Squid Coyote's been around on my channel for a long time. I rarely see Squid in the chat, but I know you're there.
Thanks,
I
buddy.
appreciate it.
Thanks for coming by. Thanks for making your presence known, and hope to see you next week for Ammunation number 19.
Oh, and sometimes on Twitch. I'm gonna
Oh,
try
that's
doing
great.
that
Yeah.
Twitch thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna do some gaming, some cozy gaming on Twitch. Yeah.
Casual as fuck, right?
Yeah, that's what it's called. Casual as fuck. Yeah. So we got 3 streams: Casual as fuck on Irving Twins channel, After Hours on Irving Twins channel, periodically after Ammunation on this channel. I thought After Hours would be Saturday, so right away. Saturday, so right away would be awesome. Yeah, it would be good. I think keep the momentum going. If we do Friday and then Saturday, that's fine with me too. But Saturdays aren't always great for everybody. So,
Spud Coyote.
Hey, Spud Coyote.
Wait. It sounds like we're ending.
I think so. Oh shit, we didn't do fucking No One Tells Jokes anymore.
There you go.
Oh, we can't end yet because we do this every stream. No one tells jokes anymore. Irving, I don't have a joke tonight, so you said you had something. So please share with the class.
I've got 2.
Okay.
Okay, this is an old one.
All right.
But it's relevant to tonight's discussion, going back to based SCOTUS.
Okay.
So I'm torn on the issue of abortion. I'm for it because it's murdering children, but I'm against it because it gives women a choice.
Wow.
Yeah, one of my favorites. Okay, now
Based. That sounds like a piece of stand-up from somebody who's trying to be edgy.
Yes, yeah, it was. That's where I heard it.
And you have another joke too?
Yes. Okay, so this is just silly for all the white people who might be watching.
Well, I'm white.
Only white people will get this joke. Okay, so a guy is just hanging out at the bar, and he makes eye contact with the stranger next to him, and he says to the guy, "Hey, I'm John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. What's your name?" And the guy goes, "Holy shit, you're not going to believe this."
It's fucking terrible. All right, I'll tell a joke. This is a really silly joke too. Going back to, because we were talking about Supreme Court cases, this joke takes place in a courtroom. So there's a judge, and it's the judge, the Looney Tunes judge. I don't know, he's Judge fucking Oscar or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, before him are 3 defendants brought up on charges, and one of them's a duck. And the judge says, "Okay, come forward, and what are you charged with?" And the duck goes, "My name's Duck, and I was caught blowing bubbles in the pond in the park." And he says, "All right, $50 time served. Get out of here." And the second defendant comes up, and he says, "All right, what's your name and what did you do?" And he goes, "My name's Duck, and I was caught blowing bubbles in the pond in the park." And he says, "All right, $50, time served. Get out of here." All right, another duck comes up to the bench. He says, "All right, who are you and what are you charged with?" "I think I know, but go ahead and tell me." He goes, "I'm Duck, and I was caught blowing bubbles in the pond in the park." He says, "All right, another $50, time served. Get the fuck out of here." Fourth duck comes up and he goes, "Let me guess. Your name's Duck, and you were caught blowing bubbles in the pond in the park, right?" And the duck says, "No, I'm Bubbles."
Oh, I saw that coming a mile away.
Of course you did. Of course you did, because it's really bad. All right. Folks, that's going to be it for the Ammunation. Thank you, my Ammu Nationals. Thank you for everybody coming to the stream and being alongside us here while we ranted and raved and joked and guffawed and just basically spoke our piece. Irving, you have yourself a great night. I'll talk to you through the week, and then we'll do this again next Friday.
We'll see you in the gulags.
See you in the gulags. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming by.
Good night.
Oh, you didn't say it.
Oh, a Hail Sigmar.
There you go.